So very much welcome to my talk about locator maps and about exploring new territories, how I called it. So this is not a keynote or something, but I want to show you 6 maps, like 6 projects and 6 hacks, how we tried to achieve it or we really achieved it. First, one word to me. I'm Philipp, a German data list based in Munich. Um, and I work for Ippen.Media, which is one of the biggest German networks of publications. And the Germans might know the Munich Merkur or the TZ or the Frankfurter Rundschau, and the international audience might know BuzzFeed Germany. So yeah, let's just begin and a bit about me and my team a bit later. So question is what I'm talking about. And the answer is, let's talk about 6 apps and hacks in the next minutes. And I really want to invite you to a bit of a journey to locator maps a bit beyond the horizon. The first is about markers and how to improve them. The second is about to integrate mini charts for more context to your map. The second is better map keys or more beautiful map keys. And the fourth is from raster to vector map um, into locator map. The fifth hack is about grid maps. And the last thing I want to talk is about maps as infographics. And um, first of all, um, one word about who is talking about to you right now. You know, I'm a journalist. Great. And what's more about me? Just a very bit. So I thought, like, what could explain me and my team better when it's all about locator maps? And the answer is show it on a locator map. And so this is me and my fantastic teams. Shout out at this place, data journalism team in Munich. Um, you see, we are in the middle of Bavaria, Germany, and our office is like between the Oktoberfest, which is all about beer, and the Hofbräuhaus, which is all about beer. And we are somewhere in the middle. But our drug is not beer, but our drug is data. We really love to work with Datawrapper locator maps and trying to push the borders. So if you're in Munich, just come along. Okay, so this is about a data journalism team, and now just in the first example. My first example will be the one about invasive species and how we achieved it. So first example is you see here on the right, I will always show the result of our work, and then we go through some steps in how we made it possible. So on the right side, you see a locator map, which is about invasive species, which like crowded through Germany. And this is we wanted to show on a data visualization. And the thing was, we had some kind of interactivity, which we wanted to highlight because people often don't grasp the point. There is some additional interactivity. And the second thing is that we wanted to show like a bit more data transparency in this case, but we don't want like to let the text flood all over the data viz. And so it's not that the map doesn't have any place anymore, or space anymore. And this is what we did with like the info button you see on the left top side, and you see on the top down side, you see this call to action, which says, click me for more information, to give some like call to action feature on this side. And this is how we did it. First of all, we host the hand and the info image asset for ourselves. So we don't use the data wrapper icons here. but we use our own design ones. And host it on the public server. And therefore we are able to integrate it into Datawrapper. The second thing is we use a new marker with opacity 0. So it's not visible, but it still works that you can like hover it. And the second thing is some HTML and CSS code to make it possible. And how this works in reality is a small snippet on the next slide. So here on the left, you see the text field code. And don't blame us. We are not front-end developers at all if it's not a perfect Snooki, but it really works. And the middle is about the tooltip field. So these are the tool fields within the Datawrapper marker, and you were able to customize code here in fantastic ways. We'll show you more later. And the result is you can hover over this info button here, how we call it, or info marker, and you get additional information, additional insights, something we want to tell the interested readers about the locator map on the first interaction. Okay, so this was the first example, and now we are just on the second map and the second hack. And this has been one chart about the people in the Hamas-Syrian war. And the challenge was like to, give a more insight about how the people live there and how people live at a special place, and like grasp a bit of insight about what's about this terrible region in this kind. And we ended up that it's not enough to just show one map. We needed more. And this is why we utilized, we always call mini charts. And you see it here on the bottom of the data visualization. So you see here, it reads where the people in this region really live. And we show like bar charts and some figures about the 3 countries on the map with some more context. And a bit more context, like assisting the main map approach, is something which we find very crucial, because our maps are always embedded in lots of articles about Israel, for example. And so the data visualization must give enough context on itself. So even if we don't have like 2 or 3 other visualizations in place. And how did we do it? First of all, it's very much important to identify the data or visual idea to support the map. And our answer was here, like you show on the bar chart. The second is you utilize the notes field for a custom code within Datawrapper. So just the usual notes field, which you usually use for additional text or something. And you can insert or hijack, how to say it, HTML and CSS, and yes, lots of it. So here it's quite a bit of code, as you see, but the result is we have a small, sneaky mini chart about the Israeli war. And on the next page, you see some more mini charts we already produced. So they are always on the bottom of the main map. And they also give more context, or try to give more context for the main map. For example, you have here something on left side, like something like a chart within the chart, so to say. We have like a ranking. We have something about forest fires, wildfires, and the comparison, and some more ranking. And this is just with Datawrapper This is only data wrapper just with HTML and CSS. It can reside in something which, is somewhere in its a small front end project, so to say. I'll show you on the next slide. Um, so on the top right, you see the mini chart, how it resulted in the end. So it's about coups in Africa and when they have been successful and when not. And you see the source code like in data wrapper for this. It works fine. It works fast. You just have to build up like your library and have an idea of the visual idea, like what your goal of this mini chart shall be. And then you can make wonderful, nice, at least I find them beautiful and hopefully insightful, um, to enrich and contextualize your map by this mini charts. This have been now mini charts, and now we're on the third map hack. And third map hack I want to talk about is about map keys. In a lot of cases, the default data wrapper map keys are great. And in some, we have the feeling we need a more customized approach, an approach which is more related to the key map matrix. And you see it's two examples on this slide. And the first one on the left side is about the renovation of German railway in the next years. And each year has a specific color code. And this is what we already, like coded, so to say, with HTML and CSS to make this possible for this data visualization. And on the right side, you see something about the flood in Germany at the beginning of this year. And we customized this map key to make the insight more graspable for all the readers. One advantage is that you can like integrate the map key inside the core map, like the main map, and therefore you have more space for it. Yeah, you don't need like space on the top or below the map or something, but you can really like use parts of the map which just would be gray or not insightful, and use this space for your key map matrix, and therefore your better map key. And these are two examples for map keys from me and my team the last month. And I want to show you some more on the next page. So here you see a protest map with like weeks of protest on the left side, and coded with different colors. And some two smaller examples, which is about the gender pay gap from 4% to 22%. And this third example is about this invasive species again. And this is also just CSS and HTML, and is our approach like to customize map keys. We don't like code it from the scratch for each map key, but we have something like a code library right now. So we can use them over and again and just customize it after we build it once. And so these are map keys. This is my transition slide when it comes to the next, because right now we talked about three maps and hacks, which were like improving the map components. We talked about markers and how to improve them like with buttons. we talked about the mini charts for more context to your web visualization. And third, we talked about the map keys, which also is assisting the main insight of the map. And now we're here because we really love locator maps, and we also wanted and still want to push borders when it comes to the main map. So really the main map storytelling in locator maps. And this is why this slide is all about, because for us, it works with a combination of Datawrapper and a bit of map pre-processing, which sounds complicated, but it must not be complicated at all. I will show in the next slides. So this is called about QGIS and other map processing tools like Map Shaper and the mentioned GeoJSON IO. And I want to show you what is possible, beyond the classic locator map functionality. And so we just start with the first example. This fourth data visualization is about the flood in Libya. And you see here on the right side, it shows the precipitation in liters, which took place in Libya at a certain time. And we wanted to show you the readers and give the feeling about what it's all about, this event. And the challenge was that this data often comes with satellite data from NASA and Copernicus and European institutions and stuff like that. And this is a raster image and raster data. And of course, you cannot import raster data in Locator map. It just says, hey, please give me vector and or a GeoJSON or something I can cope with. That's completely fine. I know why. And so our challenge is to convert this raster image into something Datawrapper likes and locator maps like, and is able to do it. And this is how we did it. First, we obtained the raster satellite data. So in this case from NASA, can be other sources. And then you mainly use a function which is called raster to vector. And therefore you're able to have this raster image like a TIFF and make some pre-processing, like saying, okay, the black squares mean high precipitation and the gray mean lower precipitation, kind of this. And you convert it into layers, into 7 layers, so to say. Like the map you see here on the right consists of 7 layers. And if you converted it into these GeoJSONs, you're able to style it with Datawrapper. And then you have a wonderful locator map above this flood in Libya. I show a bit more about you here, like behind the scenes. On the very left, you see a traditional raster image you can just download by a lot of sources. In the middle, you see the vectorized image, like you see different precipitation zones. We converted with QGIS in this case. And on the right side, you see the area markers, which we imported. So for every precipitation zone, one locator map marker, and afterwards we styled it. And the result is this Libya map. So great way for storytelling when it comes to a specific scope of data. So next is grid maps. This is my 5th example. And you see here on the right side, boom of barbershops it reads. So we wanted to display the occurrence and the existence of barbershops in Germany as a boom, because it's much more uh, than before. You see my beard here; it's barbershop made, hopefully. Um, and our approach was to display the barbershops in Germany. And after we analyzed data, we had like, I think, 2000 coordinates, like, um, single markers. And as you know, with locator maps, you cannot import more than 100. So it was virtually impossible to get them into locator map. But we wanted to show the barbershop boom with locator maps. And therefore, our challenge was to display it. Um, and we wanted to display it with a better representation than administrative districts, because, there are small German cities, there are big German cities. We have like big districts and stuff like that. So um, you lose some focus in this special case, at least when you try to display it on for example, a choropleth map of German districts. And this is why we tried the approach with grid maps. And this is what I want to show you now. So um, the first thing is we imported a white base map. So this is our custom approach. This is just a GeoJSON just covering the whole world and makes the rest of the base map just invisible. And therefore you just see nothing in the first hand, and then you can apply other maps, so to say. And the second thing is, of course, I cannot go in very much detail here right now, but you join the coordinates of these 2000 barbershops with a grid map data. And afterwards, you have for every category, you have one marker again, and import it into Locator map. And then you have a grid map within Locator map. There are three small panes. I want to be transparent at this point. There's a small distortion which resides through the coordinate reference system. Is fine for Germany, we think, but it doesn't really work when you have too close and too much detail on this. And the file size, I think it's more than 1 megabyte. And of course, this can be so much of a topic if you must be really important. But these are grid maps. The result I'm very happy with, and you were able to do storytelling with a different approach. So my last example is about maps as infographics. And you may be a bit shocked of this, because of course this is not our real world, but this is a world like customized do-it-yourself world, because this is a QGIS screenshot, and you see some European countries we just applied on this map. And why do we do such a thing? You see on the next map, because here you see another example for this maps as infographics. We had a project to display the 7 kingdoms, like 7 royal houses in Europe. And the challenge was like just using a usual choropleth map would not be fine, because they're very, very much far away to each other. You would have lots of space unused, and we just really want to have focus on this. And therefore, we customized here still this white maze map workflow again, and then we created a new QGIS layer, and therefore we arranged the countries you show here on a QGIS map, and we styled it, and this is the result in the end. So we customize maps here that we can use as infographics because we think it suits the message best here. So just coming to the end and a quick start. We talked about 6 maps and hacks, like on the big picture, and I don't want to leave you behind with some tips to a quick start at this point. And these are 5 things. If you now think, okay, locator maps is cool, I knew that, but it can be even cooler a bit. And how you just could go out of the office right now or your home or stay at home and take your MacBook and just start with your next locator map project. And these are would be my quick start tips for your next locator maps. So first would be find a place to self-host your image and icon assets. As you know, right now it's not possible to customize them. Would be nice feature request. Looking at you, Datawrapper team, love from this side. And from now, it works fine for us if you find a public web server or your own web server and host your icons and your images on yourself, and it can make your maps better from the first second onwards. The second tip is mini charts. Why not finding an approach to enrich your map data with some visual nuggets or patterns? The third is not a no-brainer, even after 1 year. Use AI and GPT-4, especially the OpenAI Plus, like the code interpreter plugin, is extremely good in front-end coding. And even if you're not a front-end coder, and we are not front-end coders at all, you're able to code your own HTML, CSS projects and bring all your visual ideas to life within Datawrapper. The fourth would be QGIS or other geodata tools. If you want to support some map ideas, you need a bit of map pre-processing, and this would be my first approach. Other tools, always just free and open source to just start. And just start is like my maybe most important next step. Start small, because even minor improvements like map keys can already boost your map for me to say. So coming now to the end, thank you very much. And hopefully I was able to provide some tips and insights about we produce and make locator maps. And so now thank you very much and happy hacking with locator maps.
Thank you so much, Philip. That was super interesting to see. And I believe the audience really liked your maps too. We had like some good comments here. People really liked the mini charts. And everybody thought it was amazing. We do have some questions from the audience. Demonacrot wants to know what tools do you use to reduce the size of the GeoJSON files?
There are several approaches. The easiest one is just using MapShaper, which is a free software tool and a web tool. It's called Simplifying, and you just click through the scale of simplification, and you really see the result in the end. You see when your GeoJSONs break or don't look appropriate anymore. So very simple approach is MapShaper. And then there are advanced possibilities like, as I mentioned, QGIS, which has also more advanced mechanisms for simplifying. And if you want to do it on the very, the hardcore way, so to say, there are tools called Minify, GeoJSON Minify, like typical canoe, it's called, and therefore you can like kill the last numbers of each coordinate and even make your GeoJSON smaller if you probably won't need it. So it's like simplifying and trying to reduce the length of coordinates, and in the result you can really highly compress the GeoJSONs and have more possibilities and more horizon for like getting them into the locator maps.
Thank you. We have another one from Taylor Johnson. Will you provide code somewhere for some of these examples? I would love to look behind the scenes. Maybe a blog post or something upcoming?
Yeah, good question. I will just write it down, and maybe this could be something like a blog post where I would have like a bit more space and time and give some more detail. Yeah, great idea.
I agree. All right. And the last question from the audience. I imagine you mostly use the Datawrapper API to publish these maps. Raphael Cox asked, given how much pre-processing you need to do.
To be honest, yeah, not really,
Doing
because
everything
it
interface.
depends. So yes, we use the Datawrapper API. The examples I showed you right now are like customized one time, so to say. We just like update with the more current data from time to time. These are like the ones for real storytelling on articles on the homepages of the websites and the apps and stuff like this. Like this is our storytelling approach, so to say. And then we have, of course, the different approaches, like when it comes to dashboards or more frequently updated data. Or we have live map for Ukraine and Israel. So we have like an automatic nightly workflow which updates our Ukrainian and Israel locator maps. And this is where we build scripts to update them via the Datawrapper API.
I mean, thanks. Thanks. I have one last question because I'm really wondering, these maps are so designed, but you're part of a newsroom. There must be some time pressure, right? Like, how much time does it take to create these maps, and how do you balance maybe time pressure, deadlines with creating these beautiful maps?
Yeah, this is always a balancing because, of course, especially the mini charts, for example, if we have to develop it from scratch, of course, it takes longer, and you just cannot like take it from from anywhere and use it again. If we have like breaking news situations, like first day on the Israel war or Ukrainian war, for example, of course, you sometimes have to like rely on your standards or your mini charts you already developed or something. Um, and then there are projects which are not so time related, or you can like plan it for the next week or something. And then, of course, we have a bit more time for doing this. The point is like really we try to gain time by building our own code library and our coding standards. And so for the always the next visualization, which really has a deadline, you can be somewhat fast or faster at least and get on a specific pace. Um, and yeah, then we have a bit more of a free space for exploring new possibilities. And because we don't want to stand at the point we are, but right now, but of course, we have a lot of other days and ideas to uh, get even further with lovely locator maps.
It sounds nice. We're looking forward to that. Philipp, thank you so much for joining us and explaining us everything about locator maps and answering our questions. That was super insightful. Thank you.
Thank you so much.